Hell yeah. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mr. Buster, where the fuck you at?
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Gordie Howe Entrance Podcast. We have a new member on the podcast today, and we can't thank him more for being here. That is Trev, and it's me, Bob, and we have Joe here today. So we're going to open up with a little bit of a trade deadline recap. As you all may have heard, the Red Wings picked up David Legwand this week for Patty Eves, Calle Jarnkrok, and a third-round pick to the Nashville Predators. Joe, thoughts on the Legwand trade?
I was questioning it at first. Legwand didn't really tickle my fancy, but I gotta say, after the last couple of games he's played, he looked pretty good with Nyquist and Franz in there.
Yeah, I agree. He's got more speed in those 33-year-old legs than we thought coming in. Trev, what do you think?
Well, I've heard a lot about Jarnkrok. I'm not going to act like I'm a fanatic for Red Wings prospects. However, I've heard that Jarnkrok is probably our fourth best. The third-round pick that you mentioned turns into a second if we make the playoffs. And Legwand isn't signed next year. So if we don't sign him, I'm pretty disappointed in the trade altogether.
Okay, I guess I'm on the other side of that a little bit. I just think you got to give a guy a chance to prove himself, and especially with the stories coming out that Jarnkrok might even be heading to the Swedish Elite League after this year, no matter where he was. I don't know. I'm all about giving a guy a chance, and he's looked good early. I think we just got to kind of wait and see how this thing shakes out.
He's old. He's not signed next year. I'm pretty bummed. It seems like another Stephen Weiss to me.
My thoughts on this is, obviously you got Jarnkrok, who they're saying may go play in Sweden next year no matter what. And my thoughts are, is if he was going to do that, the chances of him making the Red Wings next year were pretty slim. So if you could trade him, get some value. I still think it's a kind of a steep price for David Legwand. If we can re-sign him, it'd be great. Only if we can amnesty Stephen Weiss. Because we have some young centers, and there's really no room for Legwand and Weiss. So if we can't re-sign Legwand, I don't know how I feel about this trade after that.
Basically what we're saying is we're not going to know how we feel about the trade till the summer.
Yeah.
But the thing is kind of like what you were saying, is if he re-signs, the question is not going to be is he going to want to re-sign? Because I think he's going to want to. He's from here. He probably wants to finish out his career in Detroit. But the real question is, are we going to want him?
No.
Because we're going to have, you figure you have a healthy Darren Helm, a healthy Pavel Datsyuk, a healthy Luke Glendening.
Hank's coming back.
You got Hank, you got Sheehan. When the guys get healthy, you have a logjam at center.
For what it's worth, I don't think Helm's ever going to be healthy.
Yeah, Helm, he's the guy that...
He's now got concussion symptoms.
Yeah, and he's hurt all the time. And that sucks because he has potential, but Stephen Weiss has got to go.
Potential? Well, what is hands? He doesn't have hands.
If Darren Helm had some hands, if he could
have potential.
Yeah,
he's got legs.
The speed.
He's got legs, but he doesn't have hands.
And I would take him as a third line center. The problem is Stephen Weiss. We got to get him that $5 million for the next 4 years is absolutely pathetic, and we need to get that off our books. He's done jack squat.
He's probably done for the year. I think if Helm could develop the Draper, where he puts the puck on his backhand and just does a little scooter shuffle around the net, and if he starts ripping clappers from the top of the circles, now we're talking. Helm Draper. Darren Draper.
Darren Draper, I like it. So, all right, so we got Helm out. We got Weiss, another setback. And Ken Holland came out last week and said that Pavel's now going to be out for 3 weeks.
Regular season.
Right. Well, anyway.
Nobody believes me, but I heard him say it.
So there's a potential that these guys might not even be back for the playoff push, as we call it. So I don't know. I just think that the Legwand trade, it might have been a good thing at the time.
Yeah, especially if Nyquist, Legwand, and Franz are putting up 11 points a night. I'll take that any day. But, we got the line of Tatar, Sheehan, Yurko. We needed a center. We have so many beat-up centers right now that it was clear we needed one. We got one. He looks better than I expected him to. I will say that.
Not the most reliable source. However, I did see on a certain site the other day that starts with the Y, ends with the Ahu. Nyquist was listed on the depth chart as our fourth center, and I'm not really sure if I've ever seen Nyquist take a draw. Thus, a center, okay. I
think
like
it'd
that
be-
he's a center. I like that.
It'd probably be Franzen over him. He's at least taking a draw.
Well, he was listed as our third.
Wake up, Yahoo!
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah, we've seen Franzen play center, and I really don't care to see him play there a lot often.
Or
No.
again, for that matter.
He plays good on the wing,
He's
but
been blazing hot, though.
he's been blazing hot. But
I still would have traded him at the deadline.
expecting Franzen to play a 200-foot game, I'm sorry, I'm not looking for that.
Franzen signs through 2047? Not good. Anyway.
All right. So anyway, let's switch a little gears here. Let's shake it up a bit. You all know what that sound means. It's time to talk a little football.
That's not the football sound.
That is the football sound. NFL free agency. When's the free agent deadline?
March
Start.
11th. It starts on March 11th.
Okay.
Next
Tuesday. So we were talking about who should the Lions get. And now keep in mind that Sue just signed his agent like yesterday. So he could potentially, hopefully, restructure his contract, saving us about $8 to $10 million. So there's that. So we're going to keep in mind that that these $8 to $10 million have been freed up when we mention these next listed names. The first on our list is Jerry's Bird, a safety from Buffalo.
Actually, let me clear something up. Sue signed Jimmy Sexton as his agent, CAA. The only way that we are clearing another $10 $10 million off the cap is if he restructures by Tuesday, which is not really likely to happen, knowing the personality that Sue has. If you look back, he's always structured his contracts around eventually getting to free agency. His sister made the comments a couple years ago that he was ready to go already. That was since he was drafted. We're looking at $10 million currently on the cap, free. Last year, as you know, we signed Reggie Bush, Glover Quinn, and Jason Jones for about $9.5 million on the cap hit. You think you can sign those three starters for $9.5 million? Currently, we have about $10 million free. Think about it. If you can restructure Sue, he doesn't lose out on any money, and we have $20 million to spend. We could bring in a lot of big names. Jarius Bird, like Bob just named.
Right, so Jarius Bird in 11 games last year, 4 interceptions, 37 total tackles, and 1 forced fumble. Those numbers seem quite average, in my opinion. I think he's going to want quite a bit of money for a safety.
The only problem is our defense right now is below average. And, I'd love to see Sue sign and free up some cap space, but it doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy to do that.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry, I apologize.
He seems like he's all about himself, and he doesn't really care if the team gets better or not. He just wants him, and he wants to be in the spotlight.
If you look back a couple years ago, Calvin Johnson was in the same situation. He redid his cap figure, saved the Lions a little money, and he got it done right before right before free agency started. On the other hand, you had Stafford redo his deal. Didn't help the Lions at all because he did it after the free agency started, and it didn't really get us anywhere. Sue hopefully will do it right, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and Stafford doesn't really help the Lions anywhere
Shut up,
ever.
Joe.
So
Shut up, Joe. That's not the topic. We're talking free agency. Anyway, we're losing Delmas. We need a safety. There's a good chance Calvin Pryor and HaHa Clinton-Dix are both available at 10. But do you really want to see the Lions try and draft a safety at 10? It would be a bit of a reach. Those are probably two names that are both projected between like 13 and 20-ish or so.
Here's the thing. As you both know, I hate drafts. I like proven players. I like free agency. I like going out there and signing big-name guys. Like Dante Hitler Whitner. No, Hitler.
No,
this guy is an absolute World War II criminal, and he's definitely someone that I would like to see in the defensive backfield for the Lions. His name is Hittner. I mean, no, but his name is Hittner, the killer. I mean, he's going to straight light people up. People like the way that Delmas played. This guy is like Delmas times at least 4 or 5.
This is what Delmas should have been coming out of college, but he never was. Delmas is a free agent. He's gone. We're not bringing him back. See ya. This is what Delmas should have been.
Take your alligator and hit the road.
Whatever that means. Gone for it.
I kind of disagree with these guys because they want the big guys, the guys that lay the big hits. I want a guy like Ed Reed who's going to ball hawk.
Bring him in.
No, dude.
I don't want Ed Reed. I want a guy like him.
Thank God.
Who's going to hawk the ball and make picks.
Hawk loogies.
We don't. The Lions, they don't have DBs who can make plays. I just want a guy who can get some interceptions and get us the ball back to offense.
Check it out. Trevor Raleigh dream scenario, right? Sue restructures. We bring in Alteron Werner, who these two have never heard of. He played for Tennessee. He's a big name. He'll cost us a little bit of money. He had 5 picks last year, only 48 tackles, but he's a corner, so who cares how many tackles he has anyway. 5 picks. He's a shutdown corner. We bring in Alteron Werner. We draft either Gilbert or Darquez, 10th overall. And all of a sudden, our defensive backfield becomes a strength, along with our defensive line, which is clearly one of the best in the league. The only problem is we don't really have a linebacker worth naming.
DeAndre Levy.
Okay, DeAndre Levy. But what do you have, 6 interceptions last year, tied for second in the league, I believe? It's a bit questionable whether he's going to do that every
Well, no. I mean, he's not going to do that again.
It's not going to happen. He might have 6 for the rest of his career.
He's obviously a guy who's in the right place at the right time.
About to go.
Anyway, next name on our list, we talked about Mr. Verner's, Mr. Canada Dry. Let's move on to Champ Bailey, a dude
Because you
who's...
don't know him doesn't mean we can't talk about him, Bob.
We just talked about him. Anyway, Champ Bailey's old as dirt. This guy can get hurt just getting out of his Bentley. Is this really a dude that we want? I mean, an overpaid old man.
He said he's willing. He wants to go to a contender, and he's willing to play safety if need be. That means he's willing to do whatever it takes to win, unlike a few of the Lions that I will not name. However, I'm not really sure he's the
I mean, I want a big old safety. I don't want a corner playing safety.
I'm anti-Champ Bailey. I don't want Champ Bailey. We had Boss Bailey. We saw how that worked out. His brother,
Bad genes.
terrible genes. Champ Bailey played 5 games last year.
Joe, Champ Bailey.
Yeah, Champ Bailey's old.
What are you, Canadian?
I don't really.
Fix your show.
I think he's going to require a lot of money, and I'm not looking to spend that kind of money on Champ Bailey, who was hurt most of last season.
Here's the name that I like right now. Next on our list, Aqib Talib. Formerly of Tampa, traded to New England. I've watched a lot of New England games because my fiance loves them because she's weird. Aqib Talib is everything that I look for in a corner. He's decent size. I think he's 6'1", 6'2". He's big weight. He's fast. He'll pick the ball. The only problem is he's a little nuts. Then again, on defense in the NFL, I don't mind nuts. He was brought up on gun charges trying to suit his sister's boyfriend, perhaps. Not really sure about his mental stability, but who cares? He can play in the NFL, and he'd be a lockdown corner.
Yeah, they already said that the Lions have the dirtiest defense in the league. Why not bring in another nutcase? Who cares?
I mean, yeah, let's take this dumpster fire and make it a
Complete grease fire.
There you
Blow it
go.
up.
I mean, let's blow this team up.
No, let's not blow the team up. We got Dirty Sue. We got Skinny Legs Fairley, dirty as hell. We got Glover Quinn. He's not really dirty.
No, he's not.
Nobody really saw him last year because, our defense sucked.
No, Glover's solid, dude. I like him.
He's solid, but our defense still sucked. Every time I looked up, it felt like Glover Quinn was chasing the receiver down towards the end zone and didn't catch him.
I'm just saying, I like Talib. I like the size. I like Hittner, and I like the old school World War II attitude these guys have.
I'm just saying, if we restructure Sue, save the money, bring in Hittner and Talib, then we can talk about drafting a receiver in 10th overall. Other than that, I'm looking defense every round of the draft.
Yeah, I'm really tired of just hearing about how special our offense is supposed to be. Like, let's build a defense, because if you look at the teams who have won the Super Bowl in the past, that's what they have, a defense.
Yeah, look at Seattle. 5th round Sherman, 5th round Cam Chancellor. Earl Thomas was a 1st round pick, but yeah, that's an outlier. And 5th round, what was Brandon Browner? He was, I believe he was undrafted. He might have been. He's either 4th round, late round, or undrafted. I can't remember, but they built it the right way, just like San Francisco. A bunch of names that nobody's ever really heard of, but they have a sick defense, and they do everything the right way. Defense wins.
So Seattle, What's the least important position on a defense? It's the one with defense in the name. Defensive end.
False.
Michael Bennett.
False.
8.5 sacks last year and 1 forced fumble. This guy's going to be a free agent. You think he might be somebody that the Lions are looking at?
If we can clear the space from Sue, Bennett is a name we could use. I know everybody says, we have a strong defensive line, but you can never have too many productive defensive linemen. It doesn't hurt to be able to rotate, get fresh legs in the game. Michael Bennett is probably right now, it's a bidding war right now between San Francisco and Seattle, it seems like. And he's a name that could, next to Sue, next to Fairley, with Ziggy Ansah on the other end, Jason Jones will be healthy. We're likely going to lose Willie Young and Israel Donajee in free agency, so it wouldn't hurt to bring in another D-end, as crazy as that sounds.
Willie Young is my boy.
Thank you for your input, Joe.
We're
going to move on.
I can't explain it. I just think he's a good, second string D-end. But
Anybody with dreads, Joe's boy.
yeah, and I just feel like Bennett isn't going to leave the West Coast. He's got to pick between Seattle and San Fran. Why would he come here?
Playing time. Another name I like, honestly, is Michael Johnson from Cincy. He's a free agent currently. It sounds like he might sign in Cincy, and we're not going to get a chance at him, but he's a speed rush kind of guy. He's what seems like about a young. I wouldn't call him. Let's go with he's like a young Justin Tuck. He's got a lot of speed off the end. He's got some decent moves. I honestly, watching him on Hard Knocks last year, kind of gave me a what would you call it, a man crush, perhaps?
A Woody?
Michael Johnson. No, I'm not going to go Woody.
Okay.
I'm not going to go Woody. Then Willie Young, we could bring him back. And then there's one other name is Brett Kiesel. He's a current Pittsburgh Steeler who said he'd like to resign with Pittsburgh, but if he didn't resign with Pittsburgh, his next choice would be Detroit. And as much as he's probably not the all-pro he once was, he wouldn't hurt next to Sue, next to Fairley, with Ziggy on the other end. It couldn't hurt. And Jason Jones is coming back from injury, so...
Is there any logic behind that? Why does he want to come to Detroit?
Because Detroit loves beards.
That's
honestly,
true.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. He may be from here, but I'd have to look it up. Actually, I will look it up. Why don't you guys go ahead?
All right. So we skipped over a name. Jared Allen.
Fuck that. My bad on the F-bomb.
Jared Allen.
Excuse my French.
He's going to be, I think he's 48 next year. He's been a perennial lion killer, though. I mean, this guy's got his bow and arrow ready on the safari when he comes to Detroit.
When the next season starts, Jared Allen will be 32.
So, I don't know. He's kind of a guy, he seems like he's on his way out, Joe.
I've always enjoyed watching Jared Allen play. He's the kind of guy I'd actually like to see on the Lions.
He's got that sack move where he does a little stir the pot action.
Yeah,
Brett Kiesel, by the way, Provo, Utah. Not really sure why Detroit's the second option, but we do have a stacked D line, so who wouldn't want to play with them?
Yeah, and Jared Allen, I like him. Bring him in. I've seen him kill us for enough years. I'd like to see him here.
Too much money. Forget Jared Allen. Give me Brett Kiesel and a hook.
All right. So now that we talked about the least important position on the defense, let's shift gears to the most important position on offense.
The defensive player of the year every year is a DN.
Wide receiver.
I gotta do research.
Big name this offseason is going to be Eric Decker coming out of Denver. 87 catches last year, 1,288 yards, 11 touchdowns. Both years that he's played with Peyton Manning, he's had over 80 catches, over 1,000 yards, and double-digit TDs. But, Joe, what's he done without Peyton Manning?
We don't have Peyton Manning.
Okay, Joe.
So I don't want Eric Decker. For one, he's going to be expecting top dollar in the free agent market, and we don't have exactly top dollar to give him.
First of all, he's the first overall receiver on the free agency list, which to me, completely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And Eric Decker, we don't have a spot for him. He's going to want way too much money. We already have Calvin Johnson. And we don't, like I said, we don't have Peyton Manning throwing the ball.
So snap back to reality a little bit.
Oops, there goes gravity.
Emmanuel Sanders, the guy that Trev is really high on this year out of Pittsburgh.
He finally became a number two last year. Antonio Brown, obviously the number one in Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger, depends on what you think. I'm under the impression that he's an average NFL quarterback, despite the Super Bowls, whatever. He's a guy who racked up 67 catches, for 740 yards and 6 touchdowns last year, which were all career highs. But like I said before, it's the first time he's ever been a number 2. Mike Wallace left for Miami, and he finally got a chance to shine a little bit. And I think he's a guy who wouldn't cost you a lot. He's a guy that's not going to be Hakeem Nicks and bring, Hakeem Nicks is a big name, but he's going to cost you a lot of money. You don't have to draft a guy second overall when rookies are never what they're supposed to be as a rookie. Or rookie wide receivers drafted, that came out weird. Rookie wide receivers drafted never come out, hot like they're supposed to. Bob's whispering over here. Whispering in my ear.
All right.
I'm not really sure what's
You mentioned Hakeem Nicks, a freaking North Carolina Tar Heel.
fart noise.
From New York, 56 catches, 896 yards, and a big goose egg in TDs last season. But keep in mind, it's hard to throw a touchdown pass when you're laying on your back if you're Eli Manning. Although in 2010, 2011, he had over 70 catches, over 1,000 yards, and over 7 TDs each year. But he hasn't been close since. I think this is a guy who's going to get paid this offseason, but not necessarily earn it.
A lot of Lions people, not necessarily people, a lot of Lions fans talk about bringing in Hakeem Nicks, and he's a big guy. He would look good next to Calvin, but I'm not sure he's the guy you need. I'm not sure Stafford's the guy who's going to get him the ball enough. I'm not sure he's going to be happy here, and he's going to want number 1 money. He's going to be a number 2, and I'm not sure he's going to be the guy you want.
Decker, Sanders, Nicks. All those guys, don't want any of them.
Shut up, Jim.
I'll take Jason Avant.
Oh!
Hey now, Jason Avant doesn't drop balls.
He doesn't drop balls. He's going to be relatively cheap. And, come on home, Jason. Come on home.
Come on home, Jason.
Play for the Lions.
Hashtag it. Come on home, Jason.
We need a guy who can catch the ball. And I think Jason Avant would be a good number 2 guy.
Well, what about another name out there? Jacoby Jones. This guy's a speed guy. Who we got returning kicks this year? Does anybody even know?
We're going to go with Michael Spurlock? Jeremy Ross?
Yeah.
We did just bring back Jeremy Ross the other day.
Jeremy Ross had a good year last year returning
For what
kicks.
it's worth, Jason Avant's home is Chicago, Illinois. But
Come
you're
on
close.
home.
He did go to Michigan. So
Come on back to college.
Come on home. Come on back to college. We'll
All
give
right.
you some beers.
So we got Jacoby Jones, Sidney Rice. This is another guy that I do not like.
Rice hands.
I'm pretty sure he's got hands, but I think his left leg is made out of some kind of pasteurized gelatin.
How did Sidney Rice make this list? That's what I want to know.
Sidney Rice is a name that could look good next to Calvin Johnson. Then again, Joe, you might look decent next to Calvin Johnson on your bionic knee.
You never know.
I wouldn't look good next to Calvin Johnson because they don't wear cups in the NFL. But here's another name for my boy Trav out there, Denario Alexander, former Mizzou Tiger.
Indeed.
I mean, it's on the list because of Trav. Other than that, we don't really want him.
Denario's going to cost probably a little bit of money. He hasn't really done anything in the NFL. He spells his name with D-A-N-A. Who cares? Get him out of
Yeah,
here.
he's got bad DNA.
One of our
That's a
other
bad joke, Bob. Terrible joke, Bob.
one of our other associates mentioned Lance Moore, and
5'9", 190. That's all you need to say. Let it go from there,
Yeah.
Joe. We don't want him.
we don't have Drew Brees. We have Matt Stafford. He ain't
Stop
fine.
it.
He's not finding Lance Moore. Sorry.
Stop it.
All
Matt
right.
Stafford's got the talent.
Let's shift to the second most important offensive position, tight end.
What? What do you... No.
First tight end on our list,
No.
Jermichael Finley. This guy's got a neck made of glass, and I like him.
I don't. That's all I got to say. I don't like him. Get him out of
I
here.
really do like him. I had him on my fantasy team the past 3 years until he got into that
Football.
car accident on the field. All right. Here's some guy that you do like, Brandon Pettigrew.
I don't like him. I mean, I'll bring him back just because he's a blocking tight
Well,
end.
everyone thought that he was going to get tagged, and he didn't.
He's gotten a terrible rep for dropping balls. And while he did drop balls in his first couple years in the NFL, he did get better last year. He made some big catches. He scored some big touchdowns, and he's a good safety valve for Matthew Stafford out of the back or out of the off the line.
Well, I know Joe likes Brandon Pettigrew.
I'm not sure he likes Brandon Pettigrew.
Not sure where you find that info, but
Wikipedia.
I googled it. That is not true. Joe Harrington does not like Brandon Pettigrew.
I wouldn't mind bringing Pettigrew back, but I feel like some team's going to overpay for him, and he's going to be gone. He's going to see those dollar signs. He's going to leave.
In that case, peace.
Yeah, tight end, big position to need. Probably the most important position on the offense. something that a lot of teams really want. You know, it's
Bob's going off the cuff right now.
the market is hot for tight ends this year.
Bob's going off the cuff right now.
Let's talk about a guy who was tagged.
Let's not bring it up.
Please, let's
Stay
do
with the net.
James Earl Graham.
That's not the case.
Jimmy Graham, a guy that I really like. I'm not sure exactly what he is. He might be an alien, some kind of Martian. But he did have a big year last year for New Orleans, recording 16 touchdowns. And if you look back at the Lions season last year, a guy named Calvin Johnson only had 12 touchdowns.
Not relevant. Jimmy Graham.
Extremely relevant.
Nobody knows if Jimmy Graham's a tight end or receiver. He wants receiver money.
And I would pay the man.
He was tagged, which means we're going to have to give up 2 first-round picks, likely not deferred. So we're going to have to give up our 10th overall pick this year, and God knows we're going to suck next year, so we're going to have to give up probably a top 15 pick next year for a guy who is just another piece of luxury on the offense. If I were New England, sure, I'd probably give up 2 first-rounds for Jimmy Graham.
Joe, help me out here.
Joe doesn't like Jimmy Graham.
I am going to say, number one, we don't have Drew Brees throwing the ball to
Stop
Jimmy
that.
Graham.
But who do we have?
Matthew
We have the
Stafford.
Saints offensive coordinator.
Number two,
We have the Saints quarterback coach as our offensive coordinator.
giving up two
Baptize them.
first-round picks for a tight end. We're not a tight end away from a Super Bowl.
Nonsense.
Right, but we are a wide receiver / tight end away from the Super Bowl.
No,
Nonsense.
we
Our
are
defense away. An
we are
entire
many
defense.
players away
We
from
are
a
an
Super
entire-
Bowl.
We are an entire back 7 of the defense away from winning a Super Bowl.
Jimmy Graham is not the answer.
We have one guy in the defensive backfield that's worth a damn, and that's Glover Quinn.
I'm
Darius
sorry.
Slay, who knows? We have a lot of young corners, but Darius Slay might be the only one that works.
Jimmy Graham is great. I would love to have him here, but it's not
Hashtag
worth
Chris Greenwood.
it's not worth 2 first-round picks, and it would just set this team back a few steps that they clearly aren't going forward anyway.
I'm just saying, I hate the draft. I know that Jimmy Graham is a proven player, and I really like this guy.
For what it's worth, Bob hates the draft. However, what he doesn't realize is that my boy, Brian W., the Xanderman Xanders, last year pulled 5 names out of the draft that are currently starters. Larry Warford, who might be the best young guard in the league. He pulled out Sam Martin, who might be the best punter in the league. And right now, I can't come up with the rest of the names that he pulled, but he pulled some good drafts. Hold on, I'm
Well, the Lions
Wait a
is
second.
the Lions are a good team to have the best punter in the league because we punt the ball quite a bit.
I mean, you don't. Your boy, Captain Mullet, Mel Kiper, did rank our postseason after the regular season was over. He did give the Lions the only A in the entire league to our draft. Ziggy Ansah made a show. He's a little young. He's unproven. Ziggy Ansah was good. Darius Slay's got hope.
Ziggy Ansah's badass, dude.
Okay, he's badass, dude. Devin Taylor on the other end of the D-line, he played opposite of, what's homie's name?
Answer?
No, he played opposite of,
Fairly.
no.
Really young?
No, he played opposite of Jadeveon Clowney in college in South Carolina.
Oh well.
He came in, he made a decent impact in his first year. Theo Riddick got some playing time, and Michael Williams out of Alabama in the 7th round of tight end. He's big. He could make up for what Pettigrew loses, or if Pettigrew leaves, he could make up for what the Lions lose at tight end as far as blocking tight ends go.
I don't know, man. I just know that tight end is the most important offensive
I
position.
wish you'd stop saying that.
Find
And-
one in the draft.
And if we,
Find one in the draft.
what's that kid's name? You guys have been saying it all day.
Eric Ebron.
Ebron.
Not him, because we're not spending a 10th overall pick on a tight end.
There is one big name who I happen to seriously dislike. He is part of the local media in Detroit. He reports for one. It's above 96 and less than 98, and it's got a point in it. It's a radio station around here. I'm not going to call it out because I don't want to be that kind of guy. But he does call for Eric Ebron in the first round, and that really disappoints me. It seriously disappoints me.
Don't need a tight end first round when you want later in the draft, and that's all it is.
All right, so let's wrap it up here, boys.
No, let's not wrap it up. We're going to keep going.
No, we have to wrap it up. Sorry.
I'm angry for what it's worth.
If you don't know already, we are the Gordie Howe Entrance. Check us out on Twitter at Gordie H Entrance and like our page on Facebook.
And for me, I'm Joe. That was Trev over there on
I'm
the
Trev.
side, and we got Bob here in the middle.
And we'll see you tonight!